are listening to the Uninformed States of America podcast with your host, Mike Riley, here on the Young Angels Network. Follow us by going to youngangelsnetwork.org, MikeRileyNow.com, and the USAPodcast.com. Yeah, man. Yes, indeed. All right, everyone, and welcome back to the Uninformed States of America podcast right here on the Young Angels Network. What's up, everyone? I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. I want to thank my guest once again, Miss Ann Heiner, who is out there on the front lines. Thank you so much for coming along and giving us that information on the vaccine. That was very crucial and very vital information. So, Ann, thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for your contribution that you're making out there on the front lines. I mean, this is not an easy fight. And, it's a fight that I like, like I say, we're all in together and we want to get this thing under control, and it's important to do that. And I think this vaccine can be a way to do that. But thank you so much, Ann, for giving us that education. Before we move on to the inauguration and all those things that come beyond it, I want to tell you guys really about a really important contest or scholarship, or I guess we can call it a contest. That's what we can call it. We have a good one coming up. That's going to be sponsored, that the USA podcast is hosting, and that will be sponsored by Frantic Technologies. And we're calling this the Riley the Riley Now University Fund. Okay. Now I'm going to be putting this information in the InfoClick newsletter. So, be on the lookout for that if you're somebody who's signed up for that. And if not, go ahead and go to MikeRileyNow.com and get signed up. I will also be launching the site, RileyNowUniversity.com, this Friday. So, not this Friday, but this Monday, excuse me. I'll be launching the site this Monday. So basically, this contest is going to be for college students, and I want it to be, and when I say college students, I mean anybody who is furthering their higher education. So that if you're a community college, university, graduate school, technical school, vocational school, or any place like that where you're furthering your education, this contest is open to you. And in this contest, you will get the opportunity to win $500 that goes towards any of your college expenses that you might actually incur if you're a student. So you can put this towards, if you're looking to buy a new laptop, or if you need to pay your rent, or if you're looking for some gas money, or if you need to buy books. We know how these college expenses can kind of pile up. You can get $500 to go towards that. Here's how it works. On February 3rd, which is our next show, I'm going to be doing a segment about student loan debt and the student loan debt crisis, and I'm going to be discussing this with a special guest. So what you do is you log on to RileyNowUniversity.com on Monday. You sign up. We send you instructions of what to listen to. You listen to the show on February 3rd, or you download it later. You submit a one-page essay, probably about 250 words or so. And the producers and I, we're going to look at the essays. We're going to evaluate it. We're going to pick the winner, and we're going to announce the winner of the $500 on March 31st live on the USA podcast. There's going to be a ton of information on RileyNowUniversity.com. Thank you, Frantic Technology, so much for sponsoring this. Go to RileyNowUniversity.com. This is a complete contest. I don't have a whole lot of time to get into it tonight, but it's straight up, and it's a good thing for students. Okay. So if you know any students, or you know anything, or if you know anybody who can use that $500, please tell them to check that out. All right. And then also too, all right, so let's move on. So, make sure you stick around for the third segment, the open mic. We're going to be talking about censorship. Okay. Let's move on. Let's talk about what we're talking about tonight. Some things I want to break down. I want to break down the history that has been made today. So if you're hearing this, it's Wednesday, January the 20th of 2021. Happy Inauguration Day. And that means that the United States of America, as of yesterday, can no longer say we are a country that's never had a woman vice president. I think that deserves a round of applause. Even maybe some cheers. Yes, we are actually making progress in this country. That's a good thing. This also means that democracy actually survived, and we were able to rid ourselves of the poisonous pill that was Donald Trump in the White House. It feels good that we're going to have some class going back into that White House again. Yes, Joe Biden is the 46th president of the United States. It feels good to say President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Not so much just because it's not that I'm a big fan of these people, but it's that we no longer have to refer to President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence. Mike Pence by the way, who had enough class to show up to the damn inauguration, something that Donald Trump couldn't muster up the humility to do. I think the last time a president skipped their opponent's inauguration was Andrew Johnson back in the 1870s, because he was a sore loser. He didn't go to Ulysses S. Grant's inauguration. He was a sore loser and one of the worst presidents ever. But of course, Donald Trump has taken the cake when it comes to being the worst president, in my opinion. Did y'all see Lady Gaga there? Man, that bird on her chest was very fly. That looked like one of the Wu-Tang Clan. If you remember, the Wu-Tang Clan had those, Ghostface Killah used to have those big bracelets with the golden eagles on them. If you're a fan of Wu-Tang, you know what I'm talking about. But Donald Trump had to watch the inauguration on television because he wasn't there. Donald Trump left with a Gallup approval rating of 34%. That's the lowest in his term and one of the lowest that I think out of any presidents in United States history. He never even got over the 50% mark on Gallup. So as Donald Trump was stewing in Mar-a-Lago today, on this day that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were inaugurated, on this 20th of January, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were inaugurated at the United States Capitol, where they were under real tight security because just 2 weeks ago, a Trump-led mob tried to storm and overthrow the damn place and overturn the election results. Now, to begin the process of what lies beyond Donald Trump what lies beyond the Donald Trump era? That's a pretty logical question. And that's what I want to talk to you guys tonight about quickly. Is what can we expect in the post-Trump era? Now, I got to give a big shout out to all the first-timer things that took place in the United States today. History was made. Kamala Harris, of course, was the first African-American as well as the first Asian-American, first woman vice president in the history of the United States. Today, we also swore in the first Jewish American senator from the state of Georgia with John Ossoff. We have the first African American senator from the state of Georgia with Raphael Warnock. We had the first Latino senator from the state of California, Alex Padilla, who will be taking the place of Kamala Harris. We have the first transgender person to serve in the executive cabinet with Rachel Levine, who will be the Assistant Secretary of Health. There's a lot of diversity and inclusion that's happening in the Biden administration. And that's what represents America, if you ask me. But the natural question on anybody's mind would be, what's next? What's the trajectory from here? What does the post-Trump era really look like? What is the post-Trump era? Now, for me to truly understand the post-Trump era, I had to kind of break everything down into two parts. That's how I kind of do things, right? So the first part to me is looking towards the future, the progression. What's going to be the legislation that's going to move this country forward? What's going to be the Biden administration's kind of agenda in the post-Trump era? And the second part is cleaning up this ginormous mess and pile of shit that Donald Trump left us. Not just Donald Trump, but also to all the Republicans that backed him. So let's start with the first part. Let's start with the progression. You know what I like about Joe Biden? He kind of reminds me of Jerry Brown. He's just like a let's just get to it kind of guy. None of the gimmicks, none of the social media crap, none of this Hollywood crap. I really admire that about him. He just wants to get to work, and I hope that's exactly what he does. I think Joe Biden's going to actually do a good job because of that. But Joe Biden is somebody who I think is laser focused on the agenda. Every single time people ask Joe Biden, what's on your agenda? What's on your agenda? What's on your agenda? The first thing Joe Biden always responds with is, I'm going to get this virus under control. I think Joe Biden has a fundamental understanding and a know-how that nothing moves, a know-how to understand that nothing moves until we get this virus under control. All the steps he's been taking to begin with have a lot to do with getting the virus under control. And I think that the way to actually push ourselves into the post-Trump presidency is by getting the virus under control. I like the fact, first of all, that he dropped the name Operation Warp Speed. Like, what little kindergartner came up with that name? We're not going to the planet Nebulon 5, so I don't understand that name. But on day one, which was today, the first day of Joe Biden's presidency, Joe Biden signed, I think it was 17 executive orders. One of the first things One of the first executive orders he signed was, like I said, tackling this virus, a 100-day mask mandate in everything federal, in all places in federal jurisdiction. That includes airports, train stations, things like that. We engaged and rejoined the World Health Organization. We're rejoining. There's an executive order to have the structure of the federal government coordinate with the United National response to COVID-19. Getting straight to work. He also signed an executive order to extend eviction and foreclosure moratoriums. Like I said, we're going to get a student loan pause. We'll talk about that a lot in the next episode on February 3rd. He also signed an executive order to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline. We're going to be doing something. We rejoined the Paris Climate Accord, reversing the Muslim ban, stopping the border wall. These are all things Joe Biden signed into law today. And that's not all. He did all this by executive order, kind of reversing a lot of what Donald Trump put out there. And that's not all. Joe Biden has another wonderful ace in his pocket. He has the Congress that he needs. So that means that we're probably going to see some fundamental changes to government. And no, this doesn't mean that gas prices are going to go up or the socialist and communist monsters are going to come from under your bed and devour your freedoms. But change is definitely coming. And that's a good thing, I think. And then, of course, there's the second part that I mentioned earlier, washing away the stain of Donald Trump, getting rid of that nasty aftertaste in our mouth after we spit him out. Yesterday was Donald Trump's last full day in office, and boy, I couldn't wait for today to come. Today couldn't come fast enough. He spent most of his day yesterday signing away pardons. And the interesting thing is he didn't pardon himself or his family. He pardoned Lil Wayne and Kodak Black. Which is cool. I guess now that explains that photograph that Wayne took with Trump. Not to take anything away from Wayne. I love Lil Wayne and I love Kodak Black. I think they're both great rappers. But a lot of people are treating this like, oh, Donald Trump freed these rappers and that's moving black history forward or black progression forward. Slow down. I don't think when they write the history books and we look back at this time, they're going to read, 400,000 people died due to this virus. But Trump also pardoned Lil Wayne and Kodak Black. Freedom reigns. I don't think so. It's good for the hip hop community, though. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But back to washing the stains out. I think one of the first steps to washing the stain of Donald Trump out really starts with his supporters. I hope Trump supporters now realize what they bought into. I hope his supporters now understand that what they bought into was lies and bamboozlement and manipulation. Donald Trump gave his farewell speech yesterday. Nowhere in that speech did he mention that the election was stolen or that democracy was undermined due to fraudulent votes? Nowhere did he mention anywhere in that speech that the biggest crime in United States history took place. Nothing. What happened to all that? I hope his supporters now realize that the money that they were donating to Donald Trump to overturn the election, his overturned election fund, was going right into his pocket. Donald Trump was supposed to use that money to pay Rudy Giuliani for his legal services. Donald Trump ain't paying Rudy a damn dime. Remember, Donald Trump doesn't pay people he doesn't think did a good job. That would be Rudy Giuliani right now. And all those people that stormed the Capitol in the name of Donald Trump, all those people, 2 weeks ago thinking that they were doing the right thing by listening to Donald Trump's words, by feeding into the big lie. All those people are being hunted down by the FBI and other law enforcement, and they're going to go to jail. Donald Trump got on TV and said that the violence that took place at the Capitol, he was like, that had nothing to do with me. Those aren't my supporters that do stuff like that. Whoa, damn. Well, what happened? Donald Trump kind of turned his back on people, and he's not coming to get them. And another crucial part, I think, of erasing Donald Trump's stain is accountability. Accountability must be had for what took place at that Capitol a couple of weeks ago. The last show we did was on January 6th, when a lot of that took place. And a lot of things have happened since that show. One of the most key fundamental to things that happened was Donald Trump got impeached again for a second time. There's been 4 impeachments in the United States, and Donald Trump now owns half of them. And the reason why is because the Democrats in the House and some of the Republicans too realized that he needs to be held accountable for what happened. This is part of getting rid of the stain. This will be worse than letting Nixon get away with Watergate if we let Donald Trump get away with this. You can't set this precedent that presidents are above the law. Now, Donald Trump doesn't have to be president in order for the Senate to convict him, or in order to be convicted of through this impeachment trial, because this will bar Donald Trump from ever becoming president again. And it's going to take the Democrats to get a few Republicans on the other side in the Senate in order to go along with this impeachment, and they just might get it. And the reason why is because of Mitch McConnell. Donald Trump lost Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is livid at Donald Trump, pissed off because Donald Trump lost him the Senate. Donald Trump kept pushing his big lie that the election was fraudulent and that your vote won't count, and people in Georgia bought it. And as a result, Mitch McConnell lost the Senate. Mitch McConnell is fuming. And if Mitch McConnell votes to convict Donald Trump, you're gonna hear the ha ha heard around the world from me. I'm gonna give you the biggest Nelson Muntz ha ha that you ever heard. You'll be able to hear it wherever you are on the planet. I'm gonna laugh about that. And plus, this will be Mitch McConnell's chance to rid the Republican Party of Donald Trump once and for all. Because I think Mitch McConnell understands the stain of Donald Trump needs to be washed away, not just from the Republican Party, but from the entire country. I mean, not even a presidential library, because we need to move into the post-Trump era. These were some of the darkest days we've ever experienced under this man's administration, especially in the last year. And I don't care what party you belong to or what your political affiliation just so happens to be. I think that we need to move collectively from a legislative standpoint, and also from a washing out the stain standpoint, holding accountability. We need to move collectively, like Joe Biden said, unified into the post-Trump era, together. Anyway, that's my thought on that. All right, y'all. We'll be right back with the open mic right here on the USA Podcast on the Young Angels Network. I'll be right back. You are listening to the Uninformed States of America podcast with your host, Mike Riley, here on the Young Angels Network. Follow us by going to youngangelsnetwork.org, MikeRileyNow.com, and the USAPodcast.com.